Good night, fellow punters. Very late tonight. The clock on the wall is 10:38. About an hour later than I had hoped for. Went to Ballinrobe. Nice crowd. Missed the first race. Traffic was brutal coming in from the Claremorris side. That's the yield junction. And there wasn't too many yielding because there was a bus and a lorry caught at the junction. It's a very narrow one. And no trace of a guard to be seen when you'd need one to direct a bit of traffic. And there was no trace of them. They were to be all looking after Joe Biden. There was no trace of them even at the races today. Missed the first race. I backed Carbon King. Ran a terrible race. Got pulled up. Couple of gambles in that race. A lot of money for the winner. I backed Nine Graces, Barry Connell. I was actually standing beside him watching the race. He wasn't that talkative though. I got out. I backed Sam Curling's horse as well, and I had no bet on the bumper. Then I headed on. Met a few there. Liam Burke, a postman in Ballinrobe, had a good chat with him and his friend. I forgot to get his friend's name. I was chatting about him. He was on about a couple of gambles was pulled in Galway. And Dara Lynch from Headford, chatted him. We watched a race that I had a second in it, Tango Theatre. Very interesting man, I must say, from Headford. I said there's sheep in that area, and he said you'd know a lot about them, wouldn't you? From Roscommon, I just said we know our sheep and our sheep knows us. They always like to slag the Roscommon, the sheep stealers, they'll call it, or sheep shaggers or whatever. But we don't mind. Anyway, he disappeared then. I was looking for him. I was looking to get a cup of coffee. I had to go in to get that. Anyway, not great luck today. Seen very little of the race and only the first one. I only looked at the last couple of seconds there of the Topham to see how soft the ground was. But all soft ground horses was winning today. I'll boot on and try and see for tomorrow. In the John Bonnet is an odds-on shot in the first race. He probably should win. I didn't even get a chance to see what might be second. In the 225, I thought a nice each-way bet was Mill Green. It's 12-1 with the green bookie in 11. It was third in this last year. It was third as well in Cheltenham to third wind, soft ground. Now it's 11. To third in this last year, it was to Party Business, who was running again. And 2 runs this year, and to third in the Pertemps. We'll just have a quick look at the Pertemps. And he's in the blue and white. Keep an eye as well on the grey horse, An Tailliur.
Charlie Deutsch. So it's Green but they're stacking up in behind. Bear Gills now second towards the inner. Then on the outside, Bradley McQueen. Next in the field towards the outside is Mill Green, who is picking up, followed by Thanks for the Help, and also Maxim is right there with every chance. Itchy Feet tries to stay on towards the grandstand side. They're racing down inside the final furlong and a half and down towards the final flight. It's Green Book now tackled by Mill Green towards the near side. Maxim looking for racing room. Bradley McQueen is right there. Thanks for the Help is the grey, has got every chance. Salvador Ziggy over on the far side just wanders. Then Neville never ending as they go the final flight. It's Mill Green who now has the lead. In second, Salvador Ziggy. Then Bradley McQueen over on the far side now. It's Good Time Johnny. And Good Time Johnny has taken it up for Liam McKenna. Racing up towards the line. It is Good Time Johnny who takes up a 10th. Salvador Ziggy in second. Mill Green maybe third again.
Mill Green third again. So at 12-1, well, let's see how many places they're paying. It's fairly reliable. It doesn't win that often though. Paying 5-6 places in some of them. I don't know if the ground is soft like that. He likes soft ground. On Tailliur, if it was good to soft, or even if it was good, but it won't be good because that had a break from October to March, and it was running on nicely up the hill. It was behind Shoot first, so they were targeting that race, but it just looked like maybe it needed the run. So if that run brings it on, it should be a place bet as well there. It's eights in a lot of places. The 3 o'clock, there's a lot of them here that hasn't ran a 2.5 mile before, including the favourite Dark Raven. Hermes Allen won over 2.5. I was sweet on him the last day, and probably shouldn't have been for, the Irish novice hurlers are better, but the fact he was so impressive in Newbury that time on soft ground was the reason it swayed me. Dark Raven hasn't ran at the distance before, the rest of them. I'm going to give Hermes Allen another chance tomorrow and see what he can do. We'll skip that for now. In this race, Beauport, there's money for it, I see now. This was 8s earlier. But I'm looking at the last couple of nights that whatever the horses that money for the night before drift the next day. So there's no point taking a price nearly the night before. This was 4th in a hurl race last year to Party Business in that Pertim's, or no, was it that one? But it didn't stay the last day over 3 miles too. And back to 3 mile, I thought it had it's only a young horse. We were on Nassalum in Cheltenham. It made a howler of a mistake, hit a fence, 3rd or 4th fence, and went backwards. But that was its first run at 3 mile, with 3 miles won. And I was thinking it should suit. Now, whether the mistake fecked him up altogether, or is it that he just didn't totally stay? But between them two, I'm going to put up one of them in the morning for sure as a bet when I get a bit of time. I just didn't have time in the last hour. I was looking at the National again because I changed off a couple of selections with the ground gone from good. I had a couple of picked out as sort of good to soft ground, or good. I think it would be drying out. The National is the big race of the day, the big race of the year for punters that only punt once a year. 40 running as usual. I always say when I was younger, that's what probably got me interested in racing, to hear the commentary of the Grand National on the radio before we even had a television. And any second hour was the top weight. That's trying to do what wasn't done since Red Rum carried top weight, and he finished 2nd and 3rd the last 2 years. A horse that done that in the 70s was a horse called Escargot for Dan Moore and ridden by Tommy Carbray. But it was, you had, if that was running that time, because it's a solid jumper. But when you be listening, when you go out, I remember when you'd go to Mass on a Sunday that time, there'd be 1st and 2nd Mass in rural Ireland. And the first question that they all chatting out at the church the next morning, they'd all be saying, had you the winner? Normally they'd be asking, were you watching the late? But I'd be listening to what the old timers be having. And you had it, that meant that you had the winner, or you hadn't. And the Melling Road, Beecher's Brook, the Canal Turn, Valentine's, Foynehaven, all them words are only used really once a year in people when the National, and brilliant commentary by Peter O'Sullivan. I always say, if you're crossing the Melling Road the second time round, if your horse is still running, you're in with a chance, because it's a long haul up to the elbow, and even from the elbow up to the line. I have great, as people know, for any second now, and it actually is. I thought it is running as well as anything this year, but it'll be an awful task to give top weight. But I have it backed at 20 to 1. anti-post, and I backed it at 100 to 30, and again at 5 to 2 to finish in the first 5. So it's still, I think, 5 to 2 to finish in the first 5, and you'd imagine like that's about, you know, it's to hump top weight around. It's not going to be simple. So down near the bottom of the weights is the place to look. I thought I had one mapped out earlier, and it was 20 to 1, but I see it's into 8 to 1 now. Is Ain't That A Shame? And on Forum, it looks to have been laid out for the race, and the ground has come to suit. But I hate tipping up a favourite, because I wasn't going to tip up Corrick Rambler, which is a 6 to 1 favourite, and I was looking the last few days, and Vanillier was my good to soft or good ground horse, but that's soft ground is not as good. And Ain't That A Shame? If you look at the Forum, second in the Munster National, I was down there that day when it was the big dog beat it, and then it was fourth in the Paddy Power on yielding, and it has won on heavy ground as well, when it bet Churchtown Warrior in February of 2021. And then when the weights come out, or after the weights come out, it ran the last day on soft to heavy and hosed up. That was only beginner's chase, but they were keeping its mark until they didn't want to run it after the Paddy Power. That was my reading between the lines, but it was 20s earlier today, but it's banged in now to an 8 to 1 shot. So or is it that it's Rachel Blackmore or Henry de Bromhead? I'm not sure, but the other one, a reliable one, that was 6th in the race last year, is Longhouse Poet. I think it has a better preparation. Well, it fell in one race, but that the protected its mark is carrying 11 stone, but it's a big strong horse. Brazil, when he targets a race, like we were on Panda Boy last week, same trainer, and he won it before with number 6 Valverde. One of Tayeste's, I thought, I'm looking for something that'll get around him in the top 6 and make a profit, and he's gone out to 20 to 1 now. Longhouse Poet 20s, yeah. So I thought that would be an each way bet. I mean, you could pick. There's a horse there that let us down badly the last day on the line, Milos, but he's iffy with his jumping. I know he's trained for the race and everything, but I just don't know about him as a jumper. So they were my 3 with soft ground, was Longhouse Poet, Ain't That A Shame, and Any Second Now, with Milos as a as a bus horse, as we could say, because he won for us. He won for us at a good price last November or October, before he won the old Hennessy, 9th of November. But he let us down the last day then, and he looked all over a winner. Though they said they were training for the race, but I was watching it back, his video, or it was a couple of races, and he just, I don't know, but we were coming off the bus this evening, and this is what happened.
Hello fellow punters, I'm delighted to be back for the final day of the Aintree Festival. There are 3 horses that are running tomorrow that I want to give a mention to, and the first one runs in the 225, which is a handicap, and the horse that I like in this is An Tailliur for John Joe O'Neill. He ran a super race in Cheltenham in the November Festival, finishing behind Shoot First, and I think he also ran a cracker in the Pertemps final in Cheltenham. He got a bit messed around with in the straight and didn't have the clearance of runs that day. His mark remains unchanged, and instead of giving Good Time Johnny weight, he is now in receiving weight from that rival. I think at 8-1, he's a good each-way play. In the 335, Flooring Porter has been running to a similar level all season. I don't think we've seen the best of him. However, I'm hoping that Danny Mullins will be pulled down to the start by Florian Porter, because when he does that, it shows us that he's ready to rock and roll. I think he can get an easy lead and bid to the one better than last year when he was second to this year's Stayers Hurdle winner, Sire de Burle, and a 5-1. I think he is a brilliant each-way shout as well. Then onto the big one, I've settled for Mr. Incredible in the National. Not very often do you see a Willie Mullins horse right down at the bottom of the weight, and I think this type of trip will suit this lad down to the ground. He ran a good race in the Kim Muir, finishing third, giving the winner a stone, Angel's Dawn, and he ran well over 3 mile 5 in Warwick on a track I think that wouldn't suit his style of running. Those fences come quick and fast in Warwick, and I think he's a massive player, and he could be one of those horses that we look at the race after saying he was absolutely thrown in, and the owner's Paul Byrne is a very shrewd operator, and a 14-1, I think he's a good each way play in the National. I'd also like to give a small mention to Dunboyne in the National as well, who's currently 80-1, and the softer the ground gets, the better for him.
Oh, he rang today, he wanted to do a video, but I hadn't time, so we decided we'd do that instead. So that's his views for tomorrow. Sorry for being so late. And sorry for being so mixed up. I had 3. I thought the ground wouldn't come up soft like it did. I had Vanilla Air and there was 2 more on good to soft, but they won't be as good on soft ground. So I just went back to the old reliables that might get around, and it's all about not losing money and getting a place or making a profit on the National every year. Bash the bookies, over and out.